You talk about your writing, you talk about your commentary. You do give a perspective on the poker world that's different. Are you able to judge what your poker destiny is now?
I think that I arrived on the poker scene fully formed as a personality, and I fit to the extent that I fit, and I'm never going to change that much. But I do feel that I've been around long enough now, and I've learned enough that I can live at the highest level in tournament poker, not just in Hold'em, by the way, but in Omaha and Stud as well. And I think that because I'm lucky enough to be in this deal, it's more or less nailed on that I'm going to get some big results. And it's interesting, I think that I probably get a lot more respect in the States than I do in Europe, where people maybe remember me when, like a lot of beginning players, you're probably a bit of a fish, and maybe it's kind of like all poker players are a little bit concerned. You're asking me about my destiny and my place. We all get a little bit concerned about what people think of us. We've all got egos, and I do feel I feel like I've come close so many times, and I'd like to prove it, but it's stupid really, because you never really prove it. If people will always have their opinions, and that's one of the great things about the game. But I'd like to at least satisfy myself that I haven't been wasting my time. And
what will it take? We'll take a World Series bracelet. We'll take a $1 million tournament, because you've done a lot in the game already.
Yeah, one of those, please, this year. Thanks very much. That would do very nicely. Does
that motivate you then, the glory, rather than the fame?
Do you know what? I love the action, Jesse. I love the game. And I love a lot of the people, and I want to be there. I want to be part of it. And of course, it's a funny thing, I mean, anyone will tell you, I've always been a very sort of friendly person, makes a lot of friends in the game. And when you get a bit of a name for yourself, when people start to recognise you, and then you're friendly to people kind of go, "Oh, that's great, isn't it?" He's this big guy. He's on the TV, and he still bothers to be friendly and happy.
You have a fan club, don't you?
Well, hang on a minute. But why shouldn't you be friendly and happy when you're doing well? It's easier. You should pat the people on the back, who are scratching around that got nothing, who are still buying around and being friendly and happy. It's never been easier for me. Yeah, I've got a fan club of one, Jesse, yeah, and I think it's a joke.
You talk like you're grounded. Is it because of your support network or your abilities?
Well, I don't know if I can separate the two in some ways. I mean, yeah, the Hendon mob, for a start, is a fantastic support network in a lot of ways. And I'll tell you something. I mean, my relationship with my brother is incredibly important to me because we go around together, we love each other, we trust each other, we believe in each other. And there's never. It's always just a knock on a hotel room door away to be with someone that you're really close to. The others mean an enormous amount to me as well. Ram Vaswani, who is universally acknowledged as one of the greatest tournament players in the world. Also, I can tell you, is one of the sweetest and most genuine people you'll ever hope to meet. He, of all people, he'll never tell you something. He'll tell you he thinks you're good if he doesn't believe it. And he has always said to me over the last few years that he thinks I'm one of the greatest in the world. And whether he's right or whether he's wrong, the fact that he believes that, and he keeps telling me that, has meant an enormous amount to me. But I mean, support structure more generally, of course, I've got a lot of good friends outside of the game. I get right away from the game. I've got my girlfriend at home and, the rest of it. And
your family, though, how does your family's got 2 professional poker players in it. How do they react?
Well, I think that they're kind of resigned to it now, Jesse. I mean, my parents, I think it's the last thing they ever would have expected. I mean, I come from a kind of a very sort of bohemian background, actually, in a way, where I was very lucky, actually. There's probably a lot of clues to my personality in my early years because we lived in a great big house, 5 floors, 5 families, and each family had about 4 or 5 kids. And we, for as far as us kids was concerned, we ran up and down. It was all a big house, and we were all a big family, And My parents were kind of, they were very different backgrounds, the two of them, but they were both sort of very left wing. And, you know, my dad was like a trade union activist. My mum come from a Russian Jewish family, and you know, one of the big, they taught us so much about people and about respecting people. You know, racism was a big thing that, you know, I mean, especially from my mum with her experience and her family's experience, you know, we grew up, you know, that was the biggest evil on the planet was racism. And, you know, I spent a lot of time in teenage days out on the street fighting the National Front.
You're not directing the future, but if you could direct the future of poker, what has to happen?
I think it needs to be live. I think that one of the things that we need to see more of, and ESPN do it to an extent, but following what happens in the earlier stages. I mean, what you see in all these 6-player finals is the tip of the iceberg of tournament poker, and it gets a bit samey. And also, they tend to select the most blunt instrument kind of hands to show. So you end up with the idea that poker's all about on their backs between 2 big cards and a small pair or whatever. And it's so much more than that. So it's
you want to show the beauty of the game.
The challenge is to bring out, you know, the subtlety, you know, and the beauty of the game. Yeah.
My thanks to Barny Boatman. Off the shuffle now. We'll see you next time.